If you were like me, the idea of the Ark Passive system is both so interesting, but also so much info to swallow in one sitting. I've personally had to explain on Discord countless amount of times this past week its fundamentals. So I thought I would make a quick, to-the-point video going over the basics of the Ark Passive and what you can expect as both a 1660 Relic user and a 1680 Ancient user. Let's start off with your basic character profile. In the bottom, you'll see these three little markers. In order, it's evolution points, enlightenment, and leap. Evolution points are gained from the tier 4 armor you are currently using from Kenwart Fortress. 8 points for Relic and 20 for Ancient. None is gained from your weapon. You will also gain 1 for every level after hitting 50 with a max of 20. A character whom is max level and full Relic armor has a max evolution point total of 60. A character with full Ancient gained from A gear will have a max evolution total of 120. So let's look at the evolution tree to understand how this affects you. Many don't realize this, but a lot of your damage from the Ark Passive comes from here, even if the Enlightenment is the more fun, flashy tab. When the Ark Passive is activated, your tier 3 accessories cease to work in the way they used to. You have next to no stats barring your bracelet, and engravings gained from that system are negated for the new one. The evolution tree looks to basically fill in those blanks and more. The first line is pretty straightforward. It's basically allotting your stat points back like swiftness, spec, and crit. It is a better version this time around as you can tweak your stats fight to fight to avoid overcapping based on synergies in your party. To move to the next level, you need to allot 40 points into this branch. Note that the amount per point is listed below the icon. Once 40 points have been used, you can now access the second level. Levels 2 and 3 is where you're replacing your set bonus comes into play, since that also gets removed by going into Ark Passive. This tab is a slight oddity out of them, as you only need to allot 20 of the 30 allowed points to then be able to move to the next level. These bubbles cost 10 points per tap, so 3 taps maximum in this tier, but 2 needed to move to the next tier. If you are keeping count, this is the cap where a max level character with only Relic armor will get to. Tiers 3 and 4 have 2 taps as an option for their tier, and tier 3 needs 2 taps to be able to get to level 4. At 120 evolution points, you can fully max out this tree. This is where a lot of the time gating comes to play with how fast you can get your A gear. Every other week, a normal mode player can get a piece, and every week a hard mode player can. Some sets are easier to replace, whereas some, like Entropy and Yearning, have a harder line in the sand to cross over. Check other guides for more details on this. But irregardless of eye level, a character doing normal A gear will be able to swap to Ark Passive for a damage gain over some time, even if they don't have the Enlightenment to unlock fundamental damage increases for their class, because some of these nodes at the lower levels in the evolution tree see a sizable damage increase. And reminder, you can access all the evolution tree as a normal only A gear player. Next up, Enlightenment. Probably what most people are eager for. Personally, I am, because it is what makes a lot of these classes feel fresh and new. Note, not all though. I get this as a Zerk main. My only fun added was a shorter spacebar that is used to gain damage stacks. Enlightenment points are gained from tier 4 accessories. A fully polished piece of Relic gear that is 67 quality or more will give 9 enlightenment, except for necklace, which will give 10. Ancient gives 3 more at the end with the same quality criteria. So everything gives the max 12 except neck that gives 13 at Ancient tier. So with max Relic, you will have 46 enlightenment. Similar to evolution points, you will also get 1 point for every level at 50 and above. So max level would be an additional 20 points. Then there are 6 easily attainable enlightenment points from potions, 3 gained from a long Una task chain, and 3 from the 70% completion of the North Curzon Adventure Tomb. You can look at the available potions if you press Alt-D and type enlightenment into the search bar. One of these potions is currently unattainable for the foreseeable future, as the second map from Bloodclaw's chart collectibles is not even in the game to get the reward. The other is a mega potion that gives 5 points. The drop comes from a low drop rate potion from the North Curzon world boss. It has a pity payout after 18 encounters, but the encounter only happens 3 times a week, so I won't assume the average player will have this. With the other attainable factors, an average 1640 character can have 72 enlightenment points, and a lucky will have 77. So how does this translate to the enlightenment tree? First off, similar to the evolution tree, the base levels put in are basically there to replace a system you previously had. In this case, it is your class engraving. In most cases, the 3 nodes will almost be a carbon copy of what you already had, but some classes have has some early quality of life added here. In my personal example, BT Zerk's first node lets it leave form whenever. This doesn't seem like a lot, but it actually allows for significantly more control over the state than ever before. At 72 Enlightenment, you can fully tap into the main 3 nodes. I would note technically you can allot your points into the side nodes rather than the main nodes starting at tier 3. Either side technically, but I think a majority of cases the main 3 node will be more damaged than the other side nodes. But test this out if you want. The only way to advance to level 4 nodes is to allot 24 points into the level 3 nodes. 24 points into each of the 3 levels is 72 points. And remembering that 72 is basically what the average player will have at 1640 through 1679 means that this is what you'll be working with. But when you do get that lucky boss drop, those extra 5 points will allow you to drop 2 extra taps into those side nodes. But little known fact, you can technically tap the side node in the level 4 as long as you have 24 in level 3. So if for some reason your character has a power spike side node at this 4th level, this is what you should be gunning for. This is where I drop the disheartening news. Any character 1679 or below in our current version cannot get enough Enlightenment points without ancient accessories to unlock that main node on the 4th level. This is because it costs 8 points to put 1 point there, and our max points as a relic user is 77, which is 3 shy of 80 total required. At the 77 max, you would just need to hit 1680 and get 1 ancient accessory and max polish it to hit this breakpoint. Some may be disheartened by this, as this is typically where the new skill is placed for most classes to feel that fresh new feeling and rotation. Besides the slight blockade of eye level access, these side nodes you get from the world boss drop plus the almost weekly damage increase from evolution points will create a giant damage increase regardless of eye level. It is just these extra sources of damage, and in many cases quality of life, will be eye level locked for the near future until Belshazzar shakes things up at 1670. The last tab is Leap, and the max points are 40, and more will be introduced with Belshazzar's tier 4 bracelets. The points are associated with characters' levels at 50+. Each level gives 2 in this case. I feel like a majority of folks don't really look at this tab as it's a little confusing at first glance. These top nodes, from my knowledge, are basically the same on all classes. It's the second level's nodes that are class specific. But from left to right, the first 3 are in relation to your awakening and hyper awakening. The first increases your hyper awakening's damage, the second is cooldown of regular awakenings while hyper bar is full, and the third gives additional awakenings. The last 3 are specific to your T skill, aka your hyper skill. From left to right, it's a damage increase, cooldown reduction, and the third gives casting speed and MP cost reduction. Most guides have you focusing on those first 2 nodes affecting your T skill, but some classes may see more benefit from the other options. This is definitely a nice damage increase, but it becomes way cooler once that next tier gets unlocked. Now, a summary of everything. 1660 characters will not be gated by the evolution tree, where a giant portion of Ark Passive's damage comes from. They'll just be slightly gated by time, as you will get Aegir pieces every other week. Sub 1679 characters are gated from having more than 77 Enlightenment points, as they need 1680 to equip ancient accessories to get the minimum of 80 Enlightenment to unlock the main node in level 4, which tends to be where a lot of the cool new stuff for many classes is located. Don't be disheartened by this, as the damage increases from those side nodes from Enlightenment tree and the completion of the evolution tree will see a giant power spike regardless of class. It's up to you now to test and Trixie your current T3 build and with what stage of Aegir gear you're at your Ark Pass. It should be easy to tell from basic numbers to see a 1-to-1 exchange of class engravings and set bonuses. Some classes with Yearning and Entropy set bonus will have to wait longer than others, as Entropy's crit damage is hard to replace and Yearning's bonuses are tied to maxing out those specific nodes on the evolution tree. You can test your current T3 build, your current Ark Passive build, and even your final Ark Passive build in Trixion, so go and see what fun awaits. Note, ability stones and engravings work slightly different, but you basically want a 7/7 stone of an engraving in your meta 5 engravings you will use now, and you will want to have a legendary engravings unlocked for all used engravings in your build to get the damage increase. I hope this video helps someone out there. I was aiming for a shorter video, so hopefully I didn't lose someone along the way. Check out my previous video specific for characters switching off Ignite, or check out my new or returning players playlist where I look to help folks find a bearing in this confusing game. My name is EasyBreak, take it easy.